Previously on the recap sequence.
2 weeks ago, Thunderbolts opened in theaters, and we've all had a chance to have a look. And if you haven't, spoiler alert, because we're going to tell you
We're
all
leaving
about
it all
it.
out there today.
Yeah. So Brent O'Hara is back with us. How are you today, sir?
Doing okay, guys. Doing okay.
Excellent.
Awesome. Listen, I've been dying to ask you both, and I'm going to start with Jamie because we've all watched Thunderbolts, and when we watched Captain America 4, you had said that you didn't understand the why Bucky was part of that one section that we see him talking to Sam Wilson, right? Now that we've seen Thunderbolts, does it sort of help did that still not need to be in Cap 4? Now that we see more of Bucky with the whole congressman thing?
So for me, Cap 4 was an editing tragedy. So like I think it was a better story before certain people got their hands on it, and I think they had to have Bucky in there because they had to set up that he was running for Congress and that he would be somehow involved at an official capacity, yet an unofficial capacity in Thunderbolts, which they did really really well. So I don't know if they needed it. For me, I'm always confused why. So where was Sam during Thunderbolts? I mean, they probably could have used some of his abilities.
True.
So I'm always going to have those kinds of issues. But as far as like whether or not it was necessary to have Bucky, there was a whole lot of unnecessary things that happened in Cap 4 that from the storytelling perspective that were altered. I think again in somebody's vision of what that final cut of the movie would need to be. So. Yeah, it was there.
Okay.
I was expecting to see him. I was expecting it to pick up where we left off. How'd he do with his run for Congress? So it picked up nicely on that, and they did. It was good that they mentioned the fact that the president went on a Red Hulk rampage at some point during Thunderbolts. I'll just throw that out there too, because that was kind of glossed over until like the last 15 minutes. That somebody just kind of slipped it in there. Anyway, I'll leave it to Brent. What do you think?
What did you think, Brent?
As far as Bucky goes,
Yeah.
well, I guess they kind of touched on it. Now, in this story, we have Bucky is the outsider. He's the investigator. He's looking into the fact that he's investigating Valentina, and some shenanigans that may or may not be going on as far as they are concerned. And Valentina is having some conflict with different personalities in the government, and so Bucky is kind of enlisted by the government to investigate Valentina, and he discovers this whole weirdness of Valentina covering up all the experimentation that they were doing in her quest to try to find or get superpowered a new set of Avengers going on, resulting in Bob, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that she suddenly found herself in a position, I'm going to get in big trouble here. Let's send all of my agents that I've enlisted over all these last the MCU movies, and let's task them with taking each other out so that to cover up any problems of what I had done. This is kind of Valentina's situation, and Bucky is kind of the one going in and sort of on the audience's behalf figuring this out. It's like, okay. And once he's actually collected them together, then it's like, oh, guess what, Bucky? We have this Bob situation, the Sentry. What are we going to do about this? So this is about a year later. So Bucky's he served half a term. So that tells us something. So it's a year after the Captain America film. And so there's things that have happened that transpired during this time, that they just give us a little bit of a glossing over. But yeah, they do mention, the president at the time turning into a Red Hulk and such. But so as far as Bucky goes, I get how they've kind of worked him into the situation, and it raises as many questions as, by the time we get to the end and we are thinking about, oh, maybe there's other Avengers going on somewhere in the world at this time. It makes you wonder, okay, well, where's Bucky fit in that scenario, with Sam and
Mhm.
his and what he's up to? But anyhow, just so for as far as Bucky goes, I enjoyed him in this film. I
Yeah.
get his place in it, and interesting how they're sort of continuing his appeal as a public character. People seem to be really interested in him. Yeah, so no, I enjoyed what Bucky brought to this story, as he kind of was like, what's going on here? What's all the weirdness going on here? And then suddenly is in a position of, oh, okay, I gotta, I need to
Step
be
up.
a leader. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to step up to be a
He
leader and
he
decide.
did. He had a great entrance,
Yeah.
kind of, quarter way through the film, as the Winter Soldier. Like, what a great comeback! It was a very. I did find Thunderbolts was a very comic book movie, very
Very
like
lighthearted.
even the narration. Like, I can picture the yellow boxes. Like, I thought it moved really, really well as a comic book. All those suspensions of disbelief, all of those things worked really, really well. Whereas in Captain America 4, I felt a lot of that stuff was forced for action. It kind of looked more like I don't know, like Pacific Rim style kind of smash up action. It was just a different vision. I thought that it was
Thunderbolts was more grounded.
much better captured, and kind of things got back on track as far as like a team up movie for me. Although it wasn't a team up movie,
No.
Captain America 4 really, other than Falcon and
Yeah.
Joaquin there, his sidekick. Losing the name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so overall, I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed Bucky's place as the adult in the room, and kind of having to kind of wrangle everything, and really kind of be the hero he never thought he was. Well, I mean, the hero he kind of has been explaining to everybody else that they are. He's had these pep talks before with other people, right?
Well,
Like,
this
that
is
seems to be
it's
the
interesting.
elder
Yeah.
statesman.
Because if you think back to Bucky through the MCU to this point, he's always been like that sidekick to Cap, no matter, regardless of Infinity War, he comes back in Endgame, that kind of thing. He's never really been front and center, other than the Winter Soldier movie when Cap's chasing him down. So this was kind of nice to see him get this. It's a role reversal essentially for him. Wouldn't you agree, Brent?
I think that we have been seeing those steps in recent years, actually. Since the Disney Plus series. He's yeah, like he's about 120 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Sometime.
he's been around a lot, and I mean, I kind of to what you guys are saying is making me think about like he having to step up, but also be that role model because he's been through all this before. He went through all this, not just with the Avengers and Endgame and all that. He's been through, he was with Captain America, the original Captain America,
Yeah.
back in war times, you know. So he's got a whole lot of life experience
Yeah.
to share. And what's interesting about that in this case is this team of people that he sort of captures and is questioning. They're all a mess.
Yeah.
They're all, like the movie sort of starts off and we get into it. We see these characters are in very dark places, mental health wise. They're all in these heavy, dark places, which I think is very thematic about what they've done with this movie. This movie is about everybody, them all together. They're all feeling like they are in this dark place. And how are they going to get through it?
Mhm.
And the discovery is that the theme or the message in the movie is that you get through it together.
Yeah.
That's the theme. That's the story.
Mhm.
How do we, and even and a lot of audience members are going to be, being able to identify with that feeling. And the message of the movie is like, look, we'll get through this together. And we have this all brought together. Bucky is the one to help them see that.
Yep.
Having gone
He's
through it himself, literally.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I found there was a bit of almost a callback to the first Guardians movie too, in that it's
Yeah.
a bunch of kind of
Misfits.
rejects and misfits and misplaced souls that kind of get together at the very end. The whole that Pearl Jam high five moment where they're all holding on to the space stone and like whatever it was the same sort of good feel, and which is what so as much as I did get into the Marvel movies with Iron Man, I went full bore into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Guardians of the Galaxy. That's when I hopped on
Yeah.
Where Monsters Dwell with you guys. That was the first kind of like staff movie we all went to go and see. I saw it 4 times, and it was just that good feeling. And I found that there were a lot of those moments in this film for a dark sort of a movie, like as far as like, a movie about going into the darkness. There are a lot of high moments, and that could have been played super cheesy, that almost borderlined it but didn't. And for me it was like, and that whole "we got you" at the very end, I was even getting kind of like, oh, here comes Wyatt, like like Cap,
U.S. agent.
US agent, yeah, Wyatt Russell. Anyway, but he played himself as just such a, you want him to kind of come around and stop being such a jerk face.
Well,
And
especially after Cap and the Winter Soldier,
yeah,
or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right?
so they did. I thought they had all that kind of just placed just close enough to the edge of going a little over the line on huggy messagey stuff to getting it
Yeah.
just about right. Like
Yeah.
it hit a lot of those notes. It was just it was interesting, and it was great to see some of the that those new Avengers teasers all along the way until they finally kind of get to that ending where they reveal that's what they're going for. I've been looking for new Avengers for some time. So.
The one thing, it's interesting because really all of these characters that we're seeing through Thunderbolts were essentially the antagonists in the last time we would have seen them, right? And it's they're all sort of going through their own character phase change. The one, and this is just a testament to Marvel and their ability to lead us on a path, going, okay, we're going to see all these, because I don't know about you guys, but when they killed Taskmaster that quickly in it, I was like, damn, I was kind of, because I enjoyed that character from the Black Widow movie. I wanted to see potentially more of that because we got more with every other one. And were you guys surprised? Brent, were you surprised by how they did that?
I was actually. Now I kind of get it because there for the Black Widow movie they brought in the Taskmaster, and the Taskmaster had almost nothing to do with the actual comic character of the Taskmaster from the comics. And whenever you do that, you're going to run into a lot of divisiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have audiences that were like, I didn't like that take on the Taskmaster because it wasn't like it wasn't the comic character at all. This was Dreykov's daughter from that was hinted at in the original Avengers movie, all the way through the Black Widow story. Like they were decided to continue Dreykov's daughter's story, which was okay. That's interesting. They have her become this character. If you set aside the fact that the character looked like the Taskmaster, then then all of a sudden you have this interesting character story of, oh my God, they brought back Dreykov's daughter. She didn't die, and but she was messed up, and there was this whole interaction between Natasha and Dreykov's daughter, and her trying to get Natasha trying to get forgiveness for what she had horribly done. And so Dreykov's daughter is freed from the Red Room, and it's like this new beginning almost for this character, only to the next time we see the character here is just to be off to boom like that. So yeah, it was a shocking end. And the earlier drafts of this movie, she was supposed to actually, Dracov's daughter was supposed to have a dynamic with the ghost that was much more story driven, where the ghost, having been through this shield in a similar way, the ghost had been used by shield in the same way that Dracov's daughter had been used by the Red Room. So there was supposed to have been this dynamic, but they decided in the rewrite to for the sake of consequences, they felt like they needed to off somebody so that they didn't feel like these characters were safe throughout the movie, which I get from a story perspective, sorta, but to me that's not a
I
great
agree.
reason
No,
to
I
kill
agree.
off that character. So that left me feeling, and my kids, when we watched it, that left us feeling like, whoa, that was more weird than
Yeah.
than getting the effect that they were shooting for.
Do you think that was a bit of a correction on maybe it was just, look, we got all this blowback during Black Widow.
Oh, like
People
fan
did not
service,
like it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't call it. I mean, yes, fan service a little, but like justifiable homicide, homicide,
Yeah, right.
fan
Yeah.
service. But like they do this in the books too, right? Like they'll right a wrong fairly quickly when the new writer comes along, or they're kind of going into a different kind of, it's like, we'll fix this. And then and it's just you can move on from it. And I think that was a loose end from the Black Widow movie. If you're going to bring back Red Guardian, Yelena's going to be a main character. They're going to be talking about the Red Room. You can't not address Taskmaster, but at the same time, they did have something else to do with this character. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, we won't be complaining about this portrayal any further throughout the movie, I guess, because it was almost kind of like, I'm surprised they brought Taskmaster back based on how things went the first time, and then that's what happened. So I was completely taken out of my moment, though, because that for me also, cold-blooded killing, especially in that graphic kind of way, not always my favorite comic book device in a Marvel type movie, because we don't usually go that violent. They go super violent, but not that close up. Like that kind of a level of explicit, cold-blooded murder generally. So I was surprised at that, but they're all also assassins. Like this is what they do.
Yeah.
And these are the lines they cross all the time. But yeah, it was brutal. But I also just kind of felt like they were probably just fixing that.
Well, when I saw it as well, I also looked at it as well. There's an opportunity potentially down the road for them to reboot the Taskmaster in the vision of the comic books to potentially appease to the fan base that's out there. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just speculating on that. What did you guys think of the 3 different types of super soldier serum that was briefly discussed throughout the movie, with perhaps probably my all-time favorite character from that movie, which was the Red Guardian? David Harbour can do no wrong right now by me.
What were they again? He got the original, or no, you got the
Soviet version.
Yeah, he had the Soviet
version.
version. Hydra for Bucky, and
Hydra,
then U.S. Agent was it just the Cap super serum?
Yeah, it was
I don't think they described that one specifically, but that's the one that we saw in the
Falcon Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. Yeah. Where the fellow there had cracked the code and had some iterations of that. So yeah, no, I agree. David Harbour was great throughout this entire, and in certain ways his levity carried this film through the darkness. That our other characters were all feeling very, very heavily, and his lightness, was great throughout the whole thing. Like the Void, I like just the notion that that the Void, and I'm skipping to the Sentry.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, go for it. No.
Yeah.
I'll come back to Red Guardian here in a second, but just the notion that we had the Bob, the Sentry, his darkness, similar to everyone's darkness, was personified and for everyone to see.
Yep.
And so the Void becomes that darker half that everyone has, but with power, that darker half is hurting people, and talk about, a prescient, theme in today's social media world where people are using their power and not even realizing just that the darkness that they're sharing is hurting people online, and like, and in the world, like, there's people are faced with this notion that, oh, this heaviness, this anger, this frustration that I'm feeling can actually hurt people. And so you have the void is the dark, and I like this version of the Sentry even more than
Yeah.
the books. I really like what they did here with the Sentry.
Even the look.
Especially the
Oh
look.
yeah.
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 It's like because they didn't go too demonic. They didn't go too, in the books they were a little bit farther, like they went a little bit farther with him becoming monstrous and stuff. Here it's in his mind, right?
Mhm.
Like they did a little bit of tweaking with how the void manifests, but that darkness, that dark cloud spreading over the world, and so what ultimately did they have to do, and just the vision of Yelena, big stepping into that darkness because that's where she's been, and feeling like she could be the one to go in to the darkness.
And him seeing the the darkness in each, like in Yelena and in I have to say U.S.
Yes,
Agent because I keep
saying
hear
Wyatt.
I know
keep saying
John
Wyatt.
Walker,
Yeah.
Johnny
John
Walker.
Walker.
Thank you.
Yeah. Johnny Walker. Yeah, might as well be.
But
2/3
we
Johnny
get to
Walker.
see their own darkness
Yeah.
through through Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And so it's very, when you look at it like that way, it's very evident that they're really leaning into this theme, and this is the theme of the movie, that everyone has this darkness within them, and in this movie it's being revealed as being something that's harmful.
Yeah.
And so I really liked that. I thought that was very timely and a great story device, and like very relevant. Um,
Is it potentially foreshadowing what's coming down the road for us in terms of the other Marvel movies?
well, it's interesting that like with Bob at the end, can't fly, but he can do the dishes.
Right.
We're not done with the Sentry.
Right.
And if for any of your listeners who want some more of the Void and the Sentry, of course, there's this original The Sentry comics series, but there was a Marvel event called Siege.
Yes.
It was about the siege of Asgard, and it was in that era of really strong Marvel events. Civil War, Secret Invasion. Siege was in there amongst those really good ones, and where there was a great readership, and so the Void plays an interesting part in that aspect of the books. But here I think that we've just seen a little bit of the Void, or sorry, of the Sentry here, and we'll see what happens and how they're going to use that coming through Doomsday and through Secret Wars.
I enjoyed too, because I was a Sentry fan in the new Avengers, and I was wondering how they would do that story. They kept
I liked the outfit. That was a big thing.
Well, they had all of the elements,
Yes.
right? Like the fact that he doesn't remember, and that like there's always that question with the original kind of portrayal or introduction of the Sentry. Did all this stuff really happen? Like, could you kind of prove it? Like this bit of is this a real thing, a real person? But they've obviously established that Bob's a thing. I find it interesting how Yelena really kind of she may be a little bit responsible for personifying the word the void, in that they had this conversation when they first met each other, and he was really trying to find, I can't quite put my finger on it, the worst part of him, and then she was like, it's the void, and he's like, oh yeah, that's it. And then all of a sudden he's like, now I got something to, once he makes that transformation, and well, the kill switch essentially turns off
Yeah.
part of him anyway, and then he comes back as the void. But it's like that's sort of what he's like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. And so I think she also felt a little bit of a personal responsibility to him, as having befriended him, having given him some guidance and some
Which is a
advice.
first, because she's really not had that with
not her thing.
anything. No,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not her thing at all, right? Especially after
She's
having
giving him hope.
Yeah, after
Yeah,
losing
weird.
her sister, she's getting hope. It's a thing, and it's so funny that you would say this about. I think we were all very pleased with how they did the Sentry and presented him throughout the movie. And right before this, we were talking about how everyone was upset with how Taskmaster was done. So it's like they write that one off, and here's Bob.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, and coming back around to that, like maybe maybe they were feeling empowered or emboldened enough because of fan reaction to be able to do what they did with the Taskmaster, and feel like people. Again, I don't think that was. I don't think that was a good story decision, because I think the audience felt kind of what we've been describing about that one. Really in your face kind of, but this one here, again, I think, yeah, they did it right. And now they have that interesting, well, you mentioned Yelena and her kind of,
Character growth.
her being in that position where, she's at the end of her rope mental health wise. She's and her telling her dad, she calls him dad in this, which I thought was nice. And and him say, oh yeah, that was a pretty good, that actually, and him being able to say, look, I wasn't always there for you, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
And for her to to get that fatherly kind of advice, or that perspective of him saying, look, you're feeling all this negativity, and you're feeling the weight of all your mistakes, but when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes, I see you. And that message hits her.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, that was pretty good. Okay. You get a dad point for that one. That's actually pretty good. So she, and so they're growing closer together. They're getting the opportunity to have that bond. He cares a lot about her. She goes into the void, and they're like, and he's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And they follow her.
Yeah.
They follow her into the void to save Yelena. And she's in the void trying to save Bob. And so they're all in there saving each other, and getting out, and being able to, and succeeding to like you said, like you were mentioning, Yelena's role in Bob's crisis. She was there for him and helping him through the darkness. And it worked. He and the whole team then, kind of rallying behind Bob, against the void. That they came through it together, and not necessarily because of their superpowers and their, or whatever abilities they had. They came through it by sticking together, and that won the day.
Yeah.
Yep. And this again, it seems to be a returning theme. I mean, teamwork always has that same magic, I suppose. But I kind of saw the end, sort of that final credit scene when they're all kind of hanging out in the new Avengers Tower, with Bob kind of parked and just staying cool. But I had kind of that almost the way that Guardians 3 ended, where okay, we've got this new team,
Yeah.
we've got this Adam Warlock. What do we do with him? And then we're kind of feeling things out as a new entity. They got the suits, like they're. I found it was kind of the
with
same
the
thing.
Z.
With the Z, yeah, right, yeah. We've got some suggestions for some improvements for sure. But they've got like they've established kind of a new reality, and they're all kind of that's just who they are now. And that was sort of and it's not like they repeated the ending, but it was the same thing. At the end of the first Avengers movie when they're all having the shawarma, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're a team now. Endgame was a little bit more
Subdued.
hyperbolic than
Yeah.
that. Well, I mean, geez, I mean, yeah, they had the funeral, but the whole everybody coming back and Avengers Assemble, they had that big moment of everybody. It took every Avenger they had.
It did a good job of basically saying, look, you're not going to get this crew we saw at the end of Endgame. We're going to get some of them at some point.
Yeah.
This is your new iteration. You've got to accept the same thing with Guardians 3. The other thing that I found, though, that the credit scene did was answer the biggest question everybody had was the movie coming up in July. How are they going to get from there to here? And they answered that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with a leap of multidimensional. Yes, there's a gap, obviously, of what happens there. But I'll be curious. Yeah, like what's going to send the Fantastic Four their way, right?
Yeah.
Like what happens that. Yeah, well, I mean, we have an idea of what happened from the trailer of Fantastic Four. If something massive shows up, but yeah, like. It's almost like the tease at the end of the Avengers movie with Thanos and like the
That's true. Yeah.
that first
Grabbing
kind
the
of
glove.
yeah, like it's kind of neat in that way. So I kind of get at first when I was watching it, I was like, I don't get it. Like, is there people comparing it to the original Avengers and how, but kind of I get it now in that in the setup for how this gets us going on to the next phase of what we're going to be dealing with Doomsday. Okay, we've got our team established, and then we have our. Okay, well, what does all this mean now? Like we have a bit of an idea of it. The only thing that was missing with the first Avengers is we didn't have a setup of something going on in another verse or going on in another time. But we got a sense. We at least know that there's something. There's the establishment of the Fantastic Four in this other universe, and something mega colossal is going to happen. But other than that, we've got the same kind of like. Ooh, feeling at the very end. What does this mean? Kind of. I thought that was a nice way to end it. Not so much on the licensing of the Avengers logo. Really, like is Sam really that petty? Is he just kind of being a bit of a jerk to be a jerk? Is this like a brotherly rivalry going on or what? But,
Well, him and Bucky they've been friends, but not
really.
Cap Bucky friendship.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, it was good. Like it was cool to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to get there.
What do you think?
All the what you just described here happening in this end, it points at so much. So it's like this whole movie we're dealing with this fairly contained story, and then here, apart from there's the Red Guardian gets on the Wheaties box.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Great for him. So that's our mid credit scene, and that's. You feel great for him. We didn't talk more about Red Guardian, but Red Guardian was great throughout this entire sequence.
Yes.
And his role as a dad and great story progression for him and his character. And then we get into the end credit scene directed by the Russo brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was done by them. The tone is a little bit, and the setup is on, and here we have it. So we're in what Valentina was calling the Watchtower. Is it still called the Watchtower, or is it not? So she's the one who bought Stark Tower, and was doing something in it, and now. With her quick thinking at the end of the story, where they come out successful, and she walks them over to a press conference that just happens to have been quickly put together, and then dubs them the New Avengers. That New Avengers moment is really powerful.
Yeah.
You know, and the brilliance of that in story is powerful and has us doing exactly what you were saying, thinking about this. Oh, okay, so what does this tells us something. This is like a story beat now in the MCU. We have to think about this New Avengers team being in the tower. We have to think about Sam also potentially having a team. Who's on Sam's team? Does he got the White Vision? Does he have who? The War Machine is, you know, what's going on over there? And this copyright silliness that the Red Guardian is, you know, trying to get around by saying, "Look, Zed, no copyright problems now," you know. So, but really, it's the underlying. Okay, well, now we're thinking about, oh, there's another. This is 14 months later. There's another Avengers team. Okay.
Yeah, that's another one, another head scratcher. Yeah,
you know, and
Yep.
so there's that end of it, and then like so that would put us 14 months, I think, in MCU time would be like we've jumped ahead a year from 2027 into 2028. Doomsday, you know, the Fantastic Four movie we're about to see here in July somehow is resolving. Whatever happens in that movie is going to land them in this same moment in 2028 for the story. Which, yeah, does Galactus have something to do with that? Does
Doom have something to do with that?
Does Doom have something to do with that? You know, we have what multiversal, you know, we had been hinted at in Multiverse of Madness, the convergences of the different universes that were destroying universes, and so we got that hint of multiversal challenge and things that were set up with Kang and in the Loki series, and you know, this is all coming together. And so something takes place where the Fantastic Four ends up here to tell us whatever they're going to tell or get involved in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So great tease for that too. And then so we have that kind of wrapping together and to lead us into what's going to be going into the next story coming ahead. So lots of things to consider there in that end, but also the marketing end of it. They did not need to build this as an Avengers movie. They did not need to set this up as an expectations of, oh, Avengers like Endgame, like, oh, that level. No, no one's ever heard of the Thunderbolts. They called it the Thunderbolts. Everyone got to watch this movie, and it didn't have to hamper branding this an Avengers movie, because they have 2 more Avengers movies coming up where this is much smaller in that story. But then they pull the little trick at the end, New Avengers, and they get to skip any complications with that. So really quite clever.
Yeah. Also
gives them a bump on their next box office weekend because of new interest. Anyway, lots of cool stuff there.
I can stop you right there. We'll take a quick break and then we'll come back. We got some ECCE to talk and a little bit more. So if you want to hold on, we'll be back right after this.
The recap sequence will return after these messages.
Hey, this is Jamie.
And this is Ryan.
And we're the recap sequence.
Be sure to tune in to us every Wednesday night on CHSR 97.9 FM. We're online at chsrfm.ca at 7 p.m. Atlantic, 6 p.m. Eastern.
And if you don't catch us live, you can catch our podcast on Spotify, on Amazon, anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And we also have a YouTube channel you may have been watching. And if not, you should be. Catch us on YouTube at Recap Sequence. So
and subscribe.
Subscribe. Yeah, please.
We now return to the recap sequence.
Welcome back. We're still with Brent O'Hara because we have some unfinished business. We've talked at length about Thunderbolts or New Avengers if you're if you're that far along into the show. But there's something huge coming up.
27 days today.
27 days, and it is not just any old event. It is the 10th anniversary of one of our favorite events ever on this planet to go to. Brent, what's happening for East Coast Comic Expo?
There it is.
This year, June
13th and 14th
at the Moncton Coliseum.
I can't forget it because Friday the 13th is day 1 for them.
What a great day to have it on.
Yeah, boy, we've been leaning into that, and yeah, that's a lot of fun. And yeah, so what what a cool thing to be able to lean into. Friday the 13th this year is the first day of the ECCE, and there's some really cool things going on. So I've been doing all the announcements of guests and the things going on our social media for related to the expo, leading up, and we're down to, like, I think we've got 3 weeks or so left of being able to announce things, building into the show.
You still have announcements coming?
I still have announcements coming.
Oh my God.
I've got a pile of them coming, as a matter of fact. A lot of them, and I'll share with you guys here on your show that a good number of them have been there's a collection of creators. Speaking of the Friday the 13th, we've been leaning into that horror aspect of our show, and announcing some fun creators and things going on that are related to the horror genre. And we have Sandy Carruthers has his
Dark Coast.
That's right. You got it. Sandstone Comics has Dark Coast, which was this awesome collection of maritime creators, with some spooky stories to share in an anthology title and a brilliant cover. Man, I love that. I love the cover art here by James Dickinson. He just a wonderful spooky creature, anyway, Dark Coast #1, and that they'll have that at the show. And his art is a great cover to that series.
Yes.
So I can't wait to get a copy of that myself. And we've been leaning into all the creators. So I'm going to announce a number of the creators involved in that, and they'll all get the spooky red treatment that we've been putting on our.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
For the Friday the 13th style horror themed creators. So we've got Dark Coast coming that we're going to lean into as far as, and then there's a few more guests as well that I'm trying to be able to get to announce before the show arrives here in just a number of weeks.
Yeah.
I think what the great thing is when we talk to Brent is to, hearing how jazzed he gets up and, getting into the, you got the spooky red for Fridays, the blue for Saturdays. I think it's such a riot to see you guys getting jazzed. You're 10 years now.
This is our 10th. Our 10th expo.
Yeah.
So we're taking advantage of, yes, COVID knocked us out for 3 years. So it's not our 10th. We've been around a little bit longer than 10 years, but it's our 10th actual expo. And in good comic book style, whenever you have a 10th issue of something, you celebrate it with the 10th anniversary. So even our comic handout this year, which we've just finished recently putting together, has the 10th anniversary treatment on it in good old comic book style. And our announcements have the little a comic style 10th anniversary banner. You guys will have noticed that already. But yeah, so we're leaning into that 10th anniversary as well as a fun thing that all comics would like to celebrate. So we're doing that too with our East Coast Comic Expo anniversary.
And I also I'd be remiss, but I want to give a shout out to Ink Monkeys, because you guys are doing a 10th anniversary t-shirt. I have ordered mine already. I have paid for it.
Nice.
And I cannot wait to get my hands on it. It is really cool. You get multiple colors you can choose from. And if I remember correctly, you order it online and it will be there for you at East Coast Comic Expo.
You got it. Yeah, you can. So you can order. There's the portal there on our social media. You can go and check it out. Go and place your order at their site, and it will be there for you at the main table at the East Coast Comic Expo when you get there in June on the 13th and the 14th. Pick up your
really
order.
Cool.
I think pretty much everything I wear
is Ink Monkeys related.
Ink Monkeys related. Yeah, let's say they've had some. Yeah, so I'll just add that to my repertoire of clothing.
I can't wait. But the other thing, Brent, is we're going to be there because we've been working with you and Derek and Tony for a lineup of guests for us in the podcast room, and cannot wait for that either.
That's great. Yes, I'm so glad that you guys are sort of helping us with the venue, and having an area for guests to go to do their interviews and then be able to get back to their table. Yeah, that's really great. So really appreciate you guys helping lead that charge, and hopefully there'll be some great snippets of chats that you guys have with to share
I'm looking
with the
forward to
guests
it.
this year.
It's always for me every time we go to one of these. It's a what can I put in the bag of equipment to bring that's different than the last time. So
This one's going to be very
I
different.
have some ideas. I've been auditioning. I mean, you look if Ryan looks behind me. There's a mic stand over there with a prototype of one of the things I want how I want to rig things up. So for me, I'm super excited because we've got our space. We've always been on foot, and I've always been like carrying way too much stuff because I've had like big ideas on what to bring. So I'm kind of looking to forward to parking it a bit and having a bit of a stationary setup, and we'll hit the floor as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
I've got a
absolutely.
plan for that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to trying out some new stuff. So for me, as an equipment nerd, also
This is
a
the mecca for
bonus,
you.
a
Yes.
bonus, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll do you proud.
Okay,
Brent, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so the walk and talk is not off the
Definitely not.
books
No, no.
in any sort of a way.
That's a
No.
staple with you
It's a
for
I
staple.
every
have.
year.
I bought special walk and talk gear. No way, it's happening.
Right on.
Actually, that was the stuff we tested at Free Comic Book Day.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to see it in action? Yeah, like Free Comic Book Day last week or a week and a half ago. We were down and tried out
Yep.
another brand new setup. It worked fine. Yeah, it worked really well.
Brent, I've got to ask. I know you can't probably say anything, but every year you guys do, and I've bring this up every time we talk to you leading into ECC. You have a nice, gorgeous display of some sort. Last year was the Deadpool Wolverine toy in box. Will there be something again this year? And any hint potentially?
Uh, um, there is a plan.
Okay.
I will say that if regular guest Nick Bradshaw to our show used to be the artist for a certain horror series. And all right, I'll tell you. It's Army of Darkness.
It's what?
Nick Bradshaw used to draw Army of Darkness. I don't know if
Yes.
you guys knew that, but
Yeah.
that was a big part.
Yeah.
In his lead up, it was a big thing there. So we're looking at that. So if we can get if we can get the right piece from Nick for Army of Darkness, yeah, we were looking at that might be an appropriate photo backdrop this year. We haven't built it yet, but that's currently the plan. What we're looking towards. We're looking definitely towards something that will help us celebrate our Friday the 13th 10th anniversary special.
That is awesome. Are you guys doing the oh my gosh, the silent auction again?
Not this year, no.
Okay.
No, we didn't. I don't think we did last year
I
either.
couldn't remember if you did.
Yeah, we didn't. No, we, our volunteers have been very busy.
Yeah.
On other things, right? This year. So no, we did not fit that one in. Who's to say it won't? We might bring it back if we get a nice collection of art pieces or things that we can share. But stay tuned for that in coming ECCE presentations, and we'll keep you posted.
We can't wait. I mean, 27 days, Brent.
Yeah.
27 days now until this.
That's right. Yeah, it's coming up quicker this year than ever.
Well, looking forward to it. Keep us posted on any of the stuff you can keep us posted on.
Absolutely.
And we'll be happy to
cannot wait.
share whatever we have the ability to share on our platform.
Absolutely.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
So all the best for the rest of the planning. If we don't talk before then, we'll see you there. We usually get a chance to catch up before we get started, but at the very least, we'll definitely see you in the podcast room and on the floor for our walk and talk. So all the best to you and the team on getting everything pulled together, getting all the guests all finalized and sorted out, and we'll be keeping our eyes peeled on your social media to see what's coming up.
Right on. A few weeks of announcements left. We're going to
Can't
use every
wait.
bit of it.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks,
Can't
guys.
wait, man. Thanks,
Thanks, Ben.
Brent.
Take care.
Chat
Yeah.
soon.
I can't wait. 27 days.
It's not long.
No, it's not. No,
Uh,
it's not.
So we have some exciting surprise news of our own, actually, believe it or not.
Yes.
We have recently been informed that we've been nominated and selected as a finalist for the Excellence NB People's Choice Awards, which are voting is open. You can get information. You can go to excellencenb.ca if you want more information, or just go to our Facebook. We have a post on it on how you can go and you can vote. And these awards are not just actually. I mean, podcasts a very small part of what they're really offering up, which is awards to highlight excellence in New Brunswick. Business, the communities that have artistic contributions. A lot of the culinary and craft, food and drink industry is being recognized in there as well. So you should really go and check it out. I mean, vote for your favorite podcast if we're the one, especially. But really go check out the awards page. You go to our social media or just check the link.
I mean, it's an honor to be nominated. I think you and I were so caught off guard by this.
Yeah, I mean, not that we're not proud of our work, but it's great, and we do actually. I mean, I think we have really come around to a very local focus, which is what I think. I owe most of the gratitude towards the local folks that have come on our show in the last year and a half, especially organizations like East Coast Comic Expo, Freddie Beach Fan Fest, GY6 as a collective of artists have been very generous in providing us with folks to come on to speak about what they're doing, and it works both ways. We give a platform, but they elevate it with what they're doing. So
thank you to all of them.
Yeah,
without them, we're not nominated.
It's fantastic to be nominated, and I can only assume that's part of it is our local focus, the fact that we are so proud of being part of this community of creatives that have come on our show, that go to these conventions and expos that we go to on a regular basis, as well as being part of a community radio station like CHSR 97.9 FM. Also a treasure and something that is
they gave us our start.
It's as local as it gets. As far as the reach of the station, but through the advent of technologies and our YouTube channel, we can spread the word about our local station well beyond where the local station has its reach. So again, thank you to those that were part of this nomination process and getting us to this point where we're actually in contention among the top 10 podcasts identified for this particular nomination process. So we're very honored, very humbled, and also go check out all of the other amazing businesses and community of creatives that are being showcased as the top 10s in what they.
It really shows what New Brunswick has to offer out there, because there's a lot on there that
a lot of categories
I didn't know either.
So take your time. It's a pretty long ballot, but it's worth it. And if anything, and what we've been learning just in just going through all the different categories is there's a lot of things that maybe you don't know about New Brunswick. So here's 10 suggestions on where to get your best baked clams, or 10 suggestions on where to get your craft beer. If you don't have a favorite, go try them out. Pick one. You got until June 6th. Tour the province. Visit as many places as you can if you haven't already. But Excellence NB, People's Choice Awards. Vote now. Voting's open until June the 6th. Support all your local folks. Give them all the love that you can.
And if we're lucky enough to win, we'll hopefully know by the time we're in Moncton.
Maybe.
Who knows? So
But it's a pleasure just to be nominated.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you, and thank you, Excellence NB. Best part of my Thursday was getting that message.
That was pretty cool
from your team. So
and it was very uplifting for us because we also suffered a loss in our podcasting CHSR family.
Sudden.
Very sudden loss. Fred Bonenfant, who you might remember as Fred Sure. T-shirt or with Against the Mat, French Onion Fred, passed away a week ago Thursday, and very suddenly. Caught all of us off guard by this. We did not see it. Fred, who you knew, he helped us out multiple times with our show. The last time when we did the live on location for Freddie Beach, and he was happy enough to go up and work the board for us while we were live on location for that, and multiple times. And we went and paid our respects yesterday to him. And you, me, and Drew toasted him last night.
Yep.
Gone, but definitely not forgotten.
Nope.
And Drew and I are actually going to do a special live on-air show for in next week up in CHSR with him. But I mean, we were fortunate enough to be able to see him. We were all together about a month ago during the radio.
Thanks for the radiothon, yeah.
Yeah, because that was the last time we had actually been in the studio together, the three of us, and then the four of us went out for bite to eat afterwards. So yeah, it's unfortunate, and our thoughts and prayers here go out to his family and loved ones as well. So Fred, like I said earlier, you are gone, but definitely, sir, never ever forgotten. So,
Tough loss.
yeah, definitely.
Hold your loved ones, and support not only your local community, but the ones that are nearest and dearest to you, because that's really what's gonna matter the most.
Yeah.
As always, thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. We're always grateful that people are interested in what we do. So thank you so much.